Welcome to the Q&A Cafe. It is great to see you all here at the Georgetown Club with our guests, the founders of Georgetown Cupcake, Catherine and Sophie, celebrating their 16th anniversary. I want to point out to you, you can take this any way you want, but we have like the first record number of people in the audience since the Salahis. You know, when you're an attraction, you're an attraction. What else can I say? It also, as Sophie pointed out, it was 15 years ago that you made your first appearance at the Q&A Cafe when we were at the Ritz. And were any of you there? Were any of you when they appeared 15 years? None of you were born. And you were just this upstart business with stars in your eyes. And look, now here you are, and congratulations on making it to 16 years.
Thank you.
Yes, I know, 100%. The whole cupcake conversation is interesting. I imagine there'll be fields of study in business schools on cupcakes and trends in general. But I went and looked up when cupcakes began, you know, and it was the 19th century. And you know this, of course.
We did an episode on one of our shows where we went to Colonial Williamsburg and we baked the first cupcake recipe.
In 1896, I think.
It was a caraway seed.
Yeah, we had caraway seeds. We baked them in an oven. We had to make the fire.
Yeah, we had to
we whisked the ingredients with twigs. So they didn't have whisk back then. So we actually tied twigs together.
And they made us go collect the eggs from the hen house. I mean, we did it.
Did you wear the outfit?
Oh yeah, I had the bonnet. I had the bonnet and everything.
Yeah,
so we baked the first cupcake recipe ever in a typical kitchen back in the 1800s.
Yeah. Did you do a swirl?
You know what? I don't know. They did not have piping back. You know,
I was just going to say.
Actually,
you invented the swirl.
It actually tasted pretty good.
It did, really? It was probably more like a savory cupcake.
It was kind of, yeah. But that was actually a really fun episode, and it was kind of going back in time and seeing how people did it back then. So yeah.
Well, because it seems that they became just sort of baking ordinaire for the longest time, and then Sex and the City had an episode at the Magnolia Bakery where they ate cupcakes. Imagine that. And that, I think, was in 2000.
Yeah.
And then Magnolia sort of took off, but they were more than just cupcakes. And then it was sprinkles on the West Coast, right? But they weren't here yet. But the thing that I think, and you tell me, because I want you to pick up the story, the thing that I think is very interesting is that when you arrived, that was like the arrival of the line. You know, people lining up outside in Washington. You know, it then spread to Baked and Wired, but you started on Potomac Street in this little tiny shop, and the stories were about how there was this line outside, and people were hiring people to stand in line for them.
People did that.
Do you remember all that?
I do. And I think that, you know, looking back 16 years ago when we first started, how it came about was that it was a dream of ours to own a bakery one day. And you know, if anyone knows our history, Sophie's background was in venture capital. I was working in the fashion industry. We kind of just gave up our jobs and wanted to start a bakery. Did we think that we would be a successful bakery? No, we actually, that wasn't our intention in the beginning. It was to be fulfilling a dream that we had. And we said, you know, if we can pay the rent here, that's all that matters, because we'll be working together.
The line actually stressed us out a lot.
100%.
So we actually would pray for rain. I remember early on we would pray when it would rain, like, yes, it'll be manageable and quiet. Because for us, it was very stressful.
Because we really thought that we were built to be a catering business. We really thought that people would come in, you know, and say, I'm having a baby shower next weekend. Can I order this and this decorations? And that's what we were set up for. It was just the two of us and our mother who was working there. And so when this line thing started happening, we weren't set up for that. And so we would constantly be baking, selling out, baking again, reopening, selling out. And it was this stop and go thing. And it was really hard on us. And it was like that for the first couple of months.
And we really had to squeeze probably for most business, what is a year's worth of growth into like a couple of short months, hiring staff, training them, and kind of retooling our business to meet what our customers were telling us. They wanted to come in and they wanted to purchase their cupcakes then and there. They didn't want to come in and place orders for next week.
And they wanted a couple dozen.
Yeah,
and so we weren't set up for that.
Yeah, but I think as business owners, you know, there's a lot of it's easy for you to say, I'm sorry, you're going to have to come back and place an order.
Right.
But instead, we listened to what our customers were telling us, and we figured out a way. Now, that being said, it was those first few months were incredibly difficult because we were trying to do it while we were in business. And a lot of people were like, you need to shut down and retool and and when you're have rent to pay and you don't have investors, just the two of you, you need to stay open and you need to generate revenue. And so we were literally not sleeping, I think probably for the first like 3 or 4 months, and while we're hiring people and being able to change our model to that.
You were also getting a fortune's worth of press, which compounds, the one led to the other.
It was funny because it was Walter Nichols who used to be the
late Walter
Nichols.
Nichols.
I know. He used to be the food editor of the Washington Post, and he came to the door one day before we were open and knocked.
Early on, like these are the first couple of weeks.
And I was covered. I was covered in like red velvet batter, and he said, "I work for the Post. I'd like to do an article on you." And I said, "I'm so sorry, but I cannot. I'm so busy. We have angry customers. I need to focus on what I'm doing." And he said, "No, you don't understand. I'm a writer for the Post. I want to write an article on you."
Yeah.
And we were
we
so naive. We said, "I'm so sorry. I understand, but like we need to focus on what we're doing here." And so he waited outside for us to open. He came in and he saw the madness. I'm like serving customers, making lattes,
I'm
packing.
frosting.
And he just was like, "This is crazy. Like I've never seen anything like before." And he wrote an article, and then that kind of put us on the map in DC, and so more people started to come. And it was Frank Bruni of the New York Times.
And Maureen Dowd had brought him in. We did not know this, that she had brought him, or she brought him the
she's
cupcakes.
a neighbor.
Yes, and she came in often, so we knew she was a customer. But she gave the cupcakes to Frank, and then he wrote a really just glowing review in the New York Times, and that really kind of set things off, and we had more people coming.
Did you even have a publicist yet?
No, I don't think so. No,
not.
And it was a crazy, crazy time, and sometimes too much business can be as bad as not having enough.
Can
business.
crush you.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And so that first year was really about just trying to survive.
Yeah, you have no choice but having to keep up with yourselves, and but an embarrassment is of riches, as they say.
Yeah, and you make it through. I think what we learned is like you just have to work hard, and put in the effort. And fast forward 16 years later, we're still here. There is still a line sometimes. We always tell people
there is very much still a line.
We always tell people pre-order. I think the people in the neighborhood know they can order online, but some people actually. Not just people visiting DC, some people in the neighborhood still like to stay in line and talk to people, meet people from different parts of the world who come to visit
and
just have an experience. And it's
like the American girl of food. I mean, I love seeing the little girls that are standing out there with their mothers. People getting photographs taken in front.
Well, for us, that is kind of an honor that people make us a stop when they visit Washington, D.C. with their families. I know people are like, people they look down on tourist destinations, but I love being a tourist in other countries in the world. It's the most fun thing when I travel to other countries, visiting all like kind of the iconic spots in each city. And I love being a tourist. And for us, it means a lot that people seek us out, make us a stop.
It's a food tourist destination, taking nothing away from Baked and Wired, and I'm assuming you have a good relationship with them.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I think,
all boats rise.
Yes,
right. And I think that Sprinkles, Georgetown Cupcake, and Baked and Wired were our only cupcake enterprises in Georgetown. They've all stayed in business, and you've expanded, and then you've downsized a little bit too.
Yeah.
So we did. We signed 10-year leases in New York City, in Boston, in LA.
Pre-pandemic.
No, but we were there for a full 10 years, and so I think
post-pandemic
as well. And so we had a conversation of where do we want to be in the next 10 years. And I think what the pandemic taught us, and we were very fortunate because we've spoken to many people in the restaurant industry who weren't as fortunate, was that we were already set up to do shipping and online orders. So. Pre-pandemic, we were already in a good spot where we could ship nationwide still. So if you couldn't leave your house or whatever, you could still get our cupcakes. And I think a lot of businesses didn't have that set up yet. And so a lot of them had to pivot and figure it out. And so we learned that we could service these markets in New York City, Soho, I mean, anywhere in the U.S.
It really
grew
very
fast.
Have you shipped outside the U.S.?
Oh, not outside.
We
Only
ship
to
overnight.
Canada a couple times. But
because we ship overnight, so the cupcakes are still, they get there fresh perfectly. I think we go...
So talk about this for a second, because I remember when this was being explored, the shipping, and it fascinated me because a little bit of inside baseball. When I owned Nathan's, my great manager, John Moss, when I closed Nathan's, he went to work for Sophie and Catherine. And I was so happy about that. But I remember listening to him once telling me about the process of developing the ability to ship.
Yeah.
All the steps you had to
Yeah.
go through. Talk
Yeah.
about that. I don't think people
Well,
realize it's just putting some cupcakes in a box.
And that's what happened at first when we first started. We didn't ship our cupcakes, but people would call and say, I'd like to send some to my family in Texas. And we're like, I'm sorry, we don't ship. So they literally would take, the pink box and shove it in a UPS envelope and put it in the mail, and they would get there all toppled. And so people were doing it, and the cupcakes were not arriving in a very
They
nice,
weren't Instagram ready.
So we said we have to figure this out. This is a need or want, something our customers want. So we need to figure it out. And so we worked with a packaging company, and it took a lot of iterations. We developed packaging where we could put the cupcakes in, flash freeze them, and ship them overnight. And they were arriving perfectly.
And they could tumble
They could-
around?
Oh, UPS does a number sometimes. You'll see sometimes when
Like
like
just drop kick it.
so we worked really hard on that. And over the course of the past 6 years, we actually have refined our packaging even more and more, trying to get it more compact.
And we have a shipping
tighter.
operation out by Dallas Airport
Smart,
where
yeah.
we strictly bake and ship from that location, and it's the last, pickup for UPS or FedEx before they get on the plane.
You use both.
Both, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it depends on where they're going, I
Yep.
suppose. Have you explored drone delivery?
Not yet, but that could be the future. I think for us,
For local deliveries,
Yeah.
that could be interesting.
I love that.
and I think for us, we started the business. We always thought of ourselves as like a bakery. In some ways now, we've kind of become
A gifting company.
Yeah.
So we've realized that we've moved in from just being a local bakery into the gifting space, like competing with our main competitor would be like 1-800-Flowers. So instead of sending flowers, for people's birthdays, people
Interesting.
will tend to send our cupcakes. And the price point is actually better to send cupcakes. And you can eat them and they last longer and you
it's
can share
something-
them.
it's-
so.
And you can always put a flower on the top
Exactly.
of a cupcake.
Yeah,
and
so.
it's something we learned from our customers, something they told us that they wanted to do. It wasn't in our original business plan.
Nope.
And I think we just have to learn, just adapt. I think
To
as,
change,
in
yeah.
a business, you have to be able to adapt
Trial
to
and
change.
error, and you adapt. Did you explore, decide to not go the gold belly route, just to do
We
it?
actually
do.
we do. We
We
ship
ship
to
on
Gold
Gold Belly too. Yeah.
Williams
So
So you do
Sonoma.
both.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all your
We-
own, and you
Yep.
will.
So people can purchase cupcakes wherever they want. Sometimes they have a gift card on Gold Belly or Williams Sonoma they'd like to use and
Oh,
purchase
that's
their
great,
cupcakes.
yeah.
So we do drop ship partnerships with different retailers as well.
What percentage of your business then now is shipping, and what percentage is in? You have Atlanta, Bethesda, Georgetown, right? So what? how
So
does-
it depends on the time of year. Obviously in December, shipping is pretty much like, I would say like 75% because it's such a huge volume.
yeah.
I think
Valentine's Day coming up.
Overall, it's probably, I would say like anywhere between like probably like a half to like 75% because people are shipping nationwide. But it depends on the time of year. Obviously, people aren't shipping so much when there's not holidays in the summer, but people are always celebrating birthdays. So we try to always have new assortments for people to choose from. But I think December is, we always like to say we're Santa's workshop kind of on steroids because it is just nonstop all month long. And then Valentine's Day is kind
Which
of
is
our Super Bowl.
it's one day and we got to
Yeah.
get it right, so it's
Yeah.
very stressful.
Well, I mean, thinking about it, you're not like weather related in the sense that ice cream is.
That's true.
It's like a cold winter day, a hot summer day, whatever the day, a cupcake.
Yeah.
Do you think now that cupcakes have transcended being a trend and are an established part of the culinary scene of the sweets in America?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've always been kind of a staple in the American dessert landscape.
But everybody was
Certainly,
making
yes.
them at home.
And certainly in the past, maybe like 10 years, they were extremely trendy. A lot of cupcake focused bakeries were opening. And for us, we tried to kind of like keep our blinders on because we really just wanted to focus on what we were doing and not follow a trend. We really
And do it well. And I
Yeah.
think that's the difference is that surely you can get cupcakes anywhere. You can go to Giant and get cupcakes. But we were really trying to make gourmet cupcakes. We still use the same
I've
ingredients we
always
use from
been
day one.
impressed with your
Yes.
ingredients.
Valrhona
Yeah.
cocoa and the Madagascar bourbon
Calico
vanilla and the
chocolate.
fresh,
Remember you telling
fruits
me
and
where you
everything.
got your coconut? And I thought,
Yeah.
I love that.
we worked hard to find like the softest, fluffiest coconut flakes
Yeah,
we could.
right. Yeah.
And so I think staying true to those core values in the very beginning of using the best ingredients possible is what's kind of sustained us those 16 years. That if you come to us, you're going to get cupcakes and they're going to taste
And we
good.
don't. I mean, people don't necessarily come to us. I think because cupcakes are trendy. Maybe like at a certain time, that was true. But I think people are coming to us because they have a dinner party to go to, and they want to pick up a dozen different flavors because it's hard to make a dozen different flavors at
Yeah.
home. You can make a dozen cupcakes, but the mess you make, the time it takes, you just come in, and I think that's why people come to us. you're going out, you bring dessert. It's like something people
Yeah.
do, like to thank your hostess.
Everybody
or
loves a
host.
cupcake.
Yeah, exactly.
Imitation, of course, is a form of flattery, and there are an awful lot of people that started copying your swirl. Do you have it copyrighted? I mean, have you ever had to go after anybody?
Yeah. Well, no, not about the swirl. So,
Not the swirl.
So obviously, certain things can't be copyrighted. Like a swirl is a swirl. But we trademarked our business brand and all the marks. We have had situations internationally where people are just opening up Georgetown cupcakes, like full-on Georgetown cupcakes. And
Pink
even
box
though we
and
have
all.
Same
protections,
logo,
we have like all the international protections and filed all the paperwork. But for some people, it doesn't matter. And let me tell you, we have spent more energy than we've wanted to trying to like combat that, and it's extremely frustrating. But all
Crisis
companies deal with
success
it.
lawyers.
Oh well, we had to hire the big guns to help
Yeah.
us in some cases because some people they just don't. It's frustrating, and they get caught, and it just continues, and it's a long process. And it's not just a cupcake with a heart on it. It's like full on Georgetown cupcake, like with our T-shirts and our box.
Online also? Can people get fooled online?
Oh yes,
yes,
we
they
would
were-
have
they
people
were-
saying
they were press
congratulations
articles.
on opening these, and they'd have opening parties with press and saying the sisters were there, and no.
What are your rights internationally, though?
So we have our marks are protected just like any company.
Yeah,
Our logo, our marks. Obviously, a cupcake's a cupcake. So people, if you want to make a chocolate cupcake with sprinkles on it that looks like ours, there's only so much you can do. I think, business-wise.
You teach
yeah.
people how to
Well,
make
yeah, and we
cupcakes that
actually
look
we published our recipes and cookbooks. We had a mixed line with Williams-Sonoma, so we encourage people to bake at home. I think when people start using your marks and pretending that they're affiliated with you, that's where it becomes troublesome. It's frustrating as a business owner to spend your time and energy on something like that, but it's part of business.
Your success was a surprise, or maybe not, but
It was.
Yeah, no, it was.
Was the TV show a surprise?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. Did I tell you the story, Carol? Of the
Tell us all.
It was a producer who was from New York City, a television producer.
He
who
was in DC at the time.
He was in DC at the time, and he was waiting in line at our shop on Potomac Street. And he said he came in, and I was working at the front counter, and he said, "What is this place?" I was waiting in line because I thought they were giving away free stuff. And I said, "Oh, it's a bakery." And he's like, "Are you the owner?" And I said, "Yes." And he's like, and my sister's here, and my mother was yelling at me at the time too. And he was like, "This is like kind of crazy too." And he said, "Do you mind if I come back here and film for a weekend?" And at that point in time, we were doing a lot of YouTube interviews with
Georgetown
Georgetown
students.
students
Yeah,
and
yeah.
local
Yes,
people.
why
And we're
not?
like, sure, why not? Just another, and we're not from the TV world, so we really didn't know. So they came and they filmed for a weekend, and at that time, I think we were doing cupcakes and cakes for
it was a Taste of Georgetown weekend,
Yes.
so it was really busy.
and we were doing the cake for the InStyle.
Yeah,
one of the-
it was Joanna, but she's an editor of InStyle magazine, or the Home Life
And
editor.
so we had to do a cake for her wedding, a cake
cup-
and cupcakes.
cupcakes.
And there was a lot of chaos. And we were in a small, tight spot in
Yes.
Potomac Street. And so, they had our microphones on, and they followed us around, and it was real. I mean, they saw a lot of stuff happen, and we didn't understand what a hot mic was until we found out the hard way. So, but at the time, it was a time when Cake Boss on TLC was doing really well.
They preceded you.
Yeah.
Okay.
TLC was looking for a sister companion show to the Cake Boss, which we didn't know at the time. So the producer took the footage, they cut it and they showed it to TLC.
Just right place, right time.
Right place, right time, and they picked up the first season of DC Cupcakes just like that. And before we knew it, we were filming.
You're a TV show as well as a small business,
Right.
and you were expanding from Potomac Street to MG.
Absolutely, exactly that right time at that time.
time.
And a lot of people told us, even my husband included, said, I wouldn't do it. Don't do it. Don't do reality TV. It's a big mistake, big mistake. And so for us, we started watching Cake Boss, and we said, listen, I think that this is going to be a family-friendly show. I don't think they really care
not
about
Real
our
Housewives. It's not.
They
gonna
don't care
be
about our
salacious.
personal lives
Yeah.
so much as to what we're doing in the bakery and our
You didn't
relationship
have to
as
fight
sisters.
with each other.
No.
We do that naturally.
It wasn't staged.
So we felt comfortable doing it, and I have to say, filming the show for 3 seasons probably was one of the highlights of our careers because not only did it bring about more business for us, but it actually inspired a lot of younger girls who watched the show
To want to start their own
to
business.
start their own business too. And we would get letters and emails from these young girls. And so it was
And
really
also
flattering.
from existing entrepreneurs who are like, I've been struggling, it's hard. When you're an entrepreneur, it can be very isolating and scary at times. And in our show, we showed it wasn't easy. Like they would show, and at first we didn't want to show our recipes, like don't film this, don't film that if we screwed up. And then we realized that people want to see authenticity. They don't want people to be perfect. They want people to be authentic.
Yeah, they want
and
real.
it's relatable. And so for all these business owners out there, especially people who own bakeries, they were going through the same stuff
Yeah.
we did, and it was kind of comforting to them and reassuring, saying, you know what, it's hard for everyone. And so that's something that we didn't really see coming out of the show, that one, we'd get these young girls who were really excited about starting a business, and two, that we could connect with other business owners out there who were kind of like dealing with the same struggles we were. So it took a while to get used to being comfortable just putting it out there, because we like, as a business owner, you don't want to show like, you screw something up. And
Yeah.
we realized like people want to see that part. They want to see how you can solve the problem.
Because
What's
that's
the
it, you're
resolution?
solving, then
Yeah.
you screw up, but then you solve
Yeah.
the problem. I felt the same way when I started this little project here. And when I was doing it at Nathan's, I said, don't worry if a plate drops. If they're screaming in the kitchen,
Yeah.
we've got some of that today. That's just real. I want people to feel like they're at Nathan's or
Yeah.
now at the Georgetown
Exactly.
Club, and it's all happening in real time in real life. Why was it only 3 seasons? Was that your decision or the realities of it?
The last episode was actually the birth of my daughter, and so they actually came into the room and
And you gave birth to a cupcake.
well, I had a C-section, so they couldn't see the surgery part of it. I mean, that was a lot.
Yeah.
And so, and Sophie and I have complete respect for people who actually film television shows, especially reality shows, because it is a full-time job. And so we had a full-time job on top of another full-time job. And I was a new mother, a brand new mother. And I realized that it's not sustainable. I couldn't do it any longer. And so I think that, after
And
my
you
daughter.
couldn't do it alone.
No,
I mean,
but what we did after that was we launched our
Cupcake Cam
the
TLC.
Cupcake Cam live, and I don't know if people got a chance to view it. For 2 years straight, we streamed live from the bakery, and so we had cameras 24/7, at various points. One inside the fridge, so you could see what was in the fridges at any given point. There was the overhead one of the frosting. You could see the cupcake cams. My favorite one though was the packing camera. So it was overhead on the counter, and you could see what people were ordering. And it was kind of cool to see what boxes, what they were choosing, and people changing their minds. You could see the fingers wagging, saying, no, not that one and this one. And so we did that for 2 years, and we also would film these sculptures and bills that we would do, mosaics. So we did a lot of fun stuff, and that was kind of more speed being a new mother. And we also filmed a lot of one-off small things.
For TLC, for commercials and things like that.
Will we do a TV show, full-on feature? Never say never. Now I have a soon-to-be 3-year-old, so I'm kind of in the
She knows what it's like.
I think it'd be fun to watch what goes on out by Dulles. I imagine that's quite.
So we did film a couple episodes
there,
there.
yeah.
We filmed the we have the Guinness World Record for the world's largest cupcake, and we baked that at our Dulles facility. We
It was
actually had.
one
Okay, was that
time.
trial and error though? I mean,
So
That was
or did you
terrifying. We
yeah.
had an oven that actually bakes airplane wings, trucked
cures
in
the paint in,
from
yeah.
Detroit,
yeah.
Detroit, and it was hooked into our gas line. We
into
were
the
terrified.
parking lot.
Yeah.
And it was
Boeing
annoying.
may need you right now because
It was like 1,594 pounds. It was over 1 ton.
Somebody recently tried to beat it, and they didn't. They
And
failed.
we're like, thank God.
I was
we
like, yeah,
cannot
'cause
do
we're
this
not,
again.
we're not redoing it, so we still hold the record.
and who ate it?
We had a blog. We had a little
You
blog
probably could have
party.
jumped into it.
Yeah, we did. The episode was called 1 Ton Cupcake, and let me tell you, that was a pretty dramatic one, because there was a point where we kind of were taking it, removing it from the pan, but it still was not fully baked, and we had literally lava batter just spilling out on the floor. We had to put it back in the oven. So, it was a fun experience.
But you mentioned that you're not like the Housewives, and I agree. But you actually did do something with the Housewives of New York.
A lot of
didn't
shows,
you?
yeah. We did a couple.
yeah.
So Bethany, we did a couple episodes of their show. And sometimes the fun
Tell
thing
us
is,
the behind the scenes.
so
They're actually very beautiful
Yeah.
in person. I mean, I know
okay.
when we were in New York City, I remember the New York Housewives came in and they filmed an episode of
This
The
was the
Decorating.
first cast. This was
Yes,
the
it was the
original,
original cast,
The
yes.
OGs, as
Yes,
they call
yes,
them.
and
yeah.
I was sort of surprised. I was like, wow, they look They're stunning.
yeah. That
was my
They were very nice. Like Dorinda,
are.
especially, is nice. We did
Yes.
something with her recently when her spin-off show.
Yeah.
But the fun thing for me is seeing our Pink Box and other TV shows, when we don't even know about it, when they just kind of pop up here and there. So
People will send us a little screen grab.
yeah,
We'll
I
see
saw
it.
your cupcakes on the show, but it was fun. It was fun doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, they were all very friendly. It's all very
And all of this, though, so all these years, what about disasters? What about things that went wrong?
So we always say, so we like to call them lessons learned.
Oh, of course,
Not mistakes,
100%, yeah.
not mistakes. And I think that, in 16 years of business, we're always making mistakes. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that there wasn't a mistake that was made, but I think for us, it's so important that we learn the lesson and we move forward. We correct it and we move forward. And I think that's what you have, that kind of outlook you have to have in business and in life, because there's always going to be stuff that goes wrong. And I remember us in the beginning saying, God, when are we going to have a day where something doesn't go wrong? Like every day, it's like
It can get you very down. As a
Well, there's
business
little
owner.
things going
Yes.
wrong, and then there's
big things.
cataclysmic things that
Yeah.
go
right.
wrong.
And so we just, we have to learn to forgive ourselves. We make mistakes all the time, and we just move on. Move on.
There's
we
things
learn.
that are like I don't think we could have ever foreseen the pandemic coming. That's something that, as a business owner, it was not on our radar.
And how did it? I mean, it landed on you, I'm sure, like it did everybody. But having employees,
Yeah,
you
and-
had to. You
Well, you have some
can't
who
have
want to-
work from home.
And you have some folks who really want to work and
Yeah,
need to work, and
yeah.
some who don't want to work at all, like who want to stay. And so you have to kind of find that balance. And some customers who still want their cupcakes, and so I think we did a good job at striking a good balance of allowing staff who still wanted to work to come in a safe environment
To
We did
work in the
contactless,
shops,
and
yeah.
contactless pickup, and I think taking all the precautions. People who didn't want to work could take some time off and come back when they felt comfortable. I think we were probably slower than a lot of businesses to fully open up again, just because we had children. I think my son wasn't vaccinated until like later on, till that children under 5 was approved. But it took a while to kind of. I feel like now we're back to where we were before then. It took a while, I think, for people to get comfortable going out again and resuming life as usual. And I think for us, it's hard to see because we can still sell cupcakes, but when you go to the shop, there wasn't that energy, that kind of excitement.
It's
And
like,
I think,
when you get takeout at your favorite restaurant, but then you miss going into your favorite restaurant and, just having the experience again. So I feel like, the past 2 years, we're really getting back into like coming into restaurants and sitting down and being with
and
people.
I think as a business owner, you have to accept things that are not in your control. There's some things you can control, some things happen,
Some
and you
things go
cannot.
wrong
Like
and you
we've
just have
had
to-
crazy things happen. Like one man came in off of the street, ran into a restroom, ripped the sink out of the wall, flooded the whole shop. Like things happen.
Are you
like
serious?
Oh yeah, wait. Like,
At Nathan, somebody ripped the urinal off the
See,
wall.
that happens.
I mean,
So
is it,
this is
maybe
like-
it's
this
the
is
same
what it
guy.
But you think you've seen it all, and you have not seen it all. Like things happen, and so you just have to kind of go with it.
no.
So
Oh God. My train of thought. You have done. I think I'm right about this. That you have resisted doing lots of other things. You have stuck to what you do. You do cupcakes. Have you been tempted to go into other things?
We learned that for us is to focus on one thing and do it really, really well, and to stay in our lane. And I think that that's the secret to our success, is just to stay in our lane, do one thing and do it really, really well.
And we still have a variety of flavors. Customers come in and customize, put logos on. So we're able to offer our customers variety in their experience and in the product. But like Catherine said, we can't be all things to all people, and I think that's where a lot of businesses falter.
I'm
When
sure
they try
people have
to-
asked you if you'll just bake a cake, right?
Yeah, or cookies or this and that,
Yeah.
and people come, well, why didn't you expand to this and this? You could be making so much more money. Like that's not what we're about. I think we want to create something and have it be our own little, piece of piece of the universe. And I think, like Catherine said, when you stay true to something and focus on it and do it really, really well, that's what's going to make your business successful over the long term. For us, it works. Other people may not agree, but that's,
You've got to do what works for you. That's always been the philosophy of Patrick O'Connell out at the end
Yes.
of Little Washington,
Yes.
is to just stay there.
Yep.
Everybody is opening restaurants, and he
Yeah.
just didn't want to be traveling all
Yeah,
over
and I
the
love
world.
that, and that he's there and he's focused and it's his thing, and it's a
And it's
destination.
true, and success means different things to different people. And I think for some people, maybe it means opening, 100 locations or, making a lot of money. And I think for us, success is a balance between, family first for us. The way that we were raised is to take care of our family first. We're both mothers, and then also to give back to the community. And so those are two major pillars.
You are
part
wonderful
of our
about giving back to the community, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But I just wanted to finish the expansion question by asking, is there anything you regret offer that was made to you that you've ever thought maybe we should have taken that?
You know, we've had a lot of serious offers to like invest or buy the company, a lot of franchising requests. And I think for us, one of the most rewarding and empowering things about being female business owners is that we get to have complete control over our company. And if we want to do something, we can say yes. We don't have to ask anyone's permission. We don't have to go to our board or our business partners. And that's a very liberating feeling.
But you thought about it.
Well, you know, we can't turn our, if someone comes with a serious offer, of course we're going to listen. But I think for us,
there's also a fear that, you know, if we were to ever sell our company, you know, what would it look like after we've sold it? And we're going to be on the outside
like
looking
those
in.
companies in other parts of the world.
It kind of scares us because we actually love this baby that we've built together. And we often talk about succession planning, like we want Georgetown Cupcake to sort of be here long after we're gone. And who's going to take it over? And, you know, that would be the best outcome for us, for it to, you know, live on hundreds of years from now, still be there.
I think if you're happy doing what you're doing and you feel like you have it under your control and you feel that you're financially, you know, that it all lines up, then, but we do live in a world where the first thing people ask after you're a success is, well, how much bigger are you going to get?
Exactly. And for some people, like, they would not agree with our, just like, they would look at an offer that we turned down and say, wow, you guys are crazy, or I wouldn't have done that. And, you know, to each their own. I think, you know, like Catherine said, everyone's personal definition of success is different. So, and for us, like, this is right for us where we are at our point, this point in our lives. You know, we pick up our daughters and sons from school every day, and like, we care about that and making time for them. And, you know, when they grow up and they're older, maybe we will like do something a little.
But you remember back 16 years ago, you felt you didn't have a life your whole life. And now
and
your success has given you the ability to have this life you want.
And when you have kids, it does change the game. It does, because you know, back then there would be weeks where we were flying from Chicago to LA to New York all in 1 week, and like it's very difficult to do that now when you have families.
But I did want to talk about your generosity because I think it's remarkable, and again, your success has made that possible. I was just recently in touch with you because I had did something. I ended up at the Virginia Hospital Center, and I wanted.
We love VHC. It's a great hospital.
So and so that opened up.
All of our favorite doctors are at Virginia Hospital Center.
That's our hospital.
And so when I said I wanted to send them cupcakes, you were like, "Oh yeah, no, we've got that."
We know all the doctors there.
But you do this you do this all over the place. I mean, what percentage of your business is, and part of your financial planning? Do you set aside a part of your business that's just going to be contributions?
So especially now, I think philanthropy is a big focus of ours. Catherine and I both recently joined the board of Make-A-Wish Mid-Atlantic.
And I wanted to ask you about that.
And Leslie Creedon, the CEO of Make-A-Wish, is right there. So if anybody wants to learn more about Make-A-Wish, she's right there. This year we're both co-chairing the Wish Ball.
Yeah, tell us about this.
So Georgetown Cupcake is the presenting sponsor of this year's Wish Ball. Catherine and I are both co-chairs.
February
24th at the Waldorf Astoria in downtown DC.
Over 750 people coming. We're hoping to raise over $1 million that evening, and we have some amazing ways to get involved.
There is a wait list to get in, but there are different ways for people to still participate from home. We have, which I think is an amazing thing. It's like it's a golden ticket that you purchase for $100 and the opportunity to win a 7-night stay anywhere in the world at any Hilton hotel. And that's like their luxury collection too, which I think for $100 is not a bad thing.
So you can choose, you don't have to do 7 days all in one time. You could do like 2 nights in Paris, 2 nights in London, 3 nights in Rome. We can mix and match.
Yeah, you can mix and match. So I think for $100
if you go to the website, like wishballmidatlantic.org, you can enter the golden ticket drawing for $100. We also have a phenomenal silent auction that's going to be online, so anyone can.
There's trips to Greece, trips to the Caribbean. There's trips to like Turkey.
Susan Gage is donating a catered dinner for 8.
There you go.
We have
with wine.
I think Patrick O'Connell is donating dinner at patios. Like we have got some amazing things that people can bid on.
Helen Olivia Flowers is flower workshop for 12. I mean, it's amazing.
I think if you're planning vacations or dinners out and you want to support a great cause, definitely check out the auction. It's
going live February 16th.
And I think for us, you know, you mentioned like our focus on philanthropy. We try to choose. First of all, we try to say yes to as many requests we get. A lot of from schools. But as mothers and as female owners, we try to really focus on women's and children's issues. And Make-A-Wish, we've been working with since the beginning. We first started just donating cupcakes to events. And then when our show was on, we had a couple of girls who wanted chose as their wish to spend the day in the bakery with us. And that was such a huge honor because these children are...
They can go anywhere. They can go to Disney World. They can be, but they chose their wish to bake with us, which was really huge.
Yeah, and so when we were asked to join the board, for us, we were just honored.
And you do it together.
Yes,
yeah.
We do it together. But yeah, it's really important to us to give back. And I think, like Sophie said, that we have the ability to say yes. We don't have to ask permission if we want to do something. It's that easy.
Is this your first big philanthropic project? I mean, or have you done others before?
So we've worked with a lot of different charities in the DC area. This is the Wish Ball is kind of our
first time being on the board.
Co-chair,
and,
yes.
Yeah.
And like Catherine, we said, trying to raise over $1 million. This is a big, big night for us. But it is a phenomenal organization, and
they do such great work.
Yeah, I think,
and there's so many kids that are in the DMV area that are still waiting for a wish.
Yeah.
So it's such a fantastic organization.
Yeah. You've been very generous to us here at the Q&A Cafe, always providing dessert.
We love supporting neighborhood. We'll do stuff with Volta Park, the Citizens Association of Georgetown. We get lots of emails, and even the cities like Boston. We have a great relationship with the Dana-Farber.
It's a luxury to be able to do that.
And you know what? I think it's one of the most fulfilling parts of having a business.
So I want to talk a little bit about cupcakes. One of the most interesting rules of cupcakes that I learned from you is don't refrigerate them.
Yes, it actually speeds up the drying process.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is to freeze.
Yeah,
which
and that
actually
goes for
locks it
any
in
baked
place.
goods, bread, cookies, cakes, anything. You always want to put them in the freezer, never the refrigerator.
Right.
That's something that's a good tip. And when you take it out of the freezer, it'll taste just as great. The moisture is retained, but the refrigeration process actually speeds up the drying out.
And it really does make a difference. I guess it's a hack, and I've loved learning it. I have no idea how you make that swirl on the top of the cupcake.
Takes practice.
But how did it happen? I mean, when was it born?
So when we opened February 14th in 2008, Sophie was the only one allowed to frost the cupcakes.
I said, no, I'm frost. So we came up with this
Apparently
roll.
I wasn't
We
qualified at the time.
wanted to make the cupcakes.
You came from fashion.
No, we wanted to make the cupcakes look elevated, but still simple. Like it just something like decorated very sparingly but beautifully. And we did the swirl. It was very simple. And we're like, this is our look. This is going to be our signature swirl. Yeah. And we started. I said, no, I'm going to do it. Like Catherine, you just can't do it. And so,
but we came too busy that it was too late.
I got to the point where I couldn't do it all myself, and so she started frosting. And now she claims she's the better froster than I am. So, it's like the student teaching the teacher.
How often are you actually in the process now? I mean, when was the last time
I'm
you were
in the bakery pretty much every day now because my son goes to school nearby, so I kind of hang out there.
He goes to school in Georgetown, so she's there every day.
Yeah.
How many employees have you had over the years now? And they probably, I mean, my son worked behind the counter, and he was a driver, and he's now 32. I mean, how many of them are coming back like married and with children?
Yeah, it's really, I have to say.
Do you keep a log?
Well, I think we probably employed every single teenager in Georgetown over the past 16 years. They've worked at our shop at some point or another, which is really fun for us because we have a great staff.
They're young, they're energetic,
Yeah.
they're really great. And for us, it's spooky because, a lot happens in 16 years.
And you see them in high school.
You see them in high school, and now they're out of college. Some of them are married. Some of them are having their first kid.
We had one who's a Broadway producer who won a Tony recently and came back to DC.
We have one that went to Harvard Law School, now works at my husband's law firm as an associate there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really incredible. They used to work at Georgetown Cupcake, and they've gone on to do incredible things.
And it's funny because a lot of them will come to us and say, you know what? I have a resume, and they went to all these impressive schools and impressive internships, but they'll list Georgetown Cupcake, and that's the thing that always comes up in their job interview, and people want to know about it because
what was it like working there?
Well, because it teaches them people skills and customer service skills are so important.
And they do say that they learned a lot when they were working there.
Because
you let them take home leftovers at the end of the day.
But I do think it's a great place for people to work because customer service, when you have good customer service, you notice it. And I think there's skills you learn in that kind of job, serving the public, how to navigate tricky situations, how to be empathetic and understanding. And those are skills that are hard to learn sometimes in an office job. But you're serving people coming from all over, and it's a fast-paced environment, you're juggling many things. And there's just a certain kind of energy, and I think people enjoy working there. I love the people who start in high school and they come back, they go to college, they come back on their breaks and work over Christmas and they stay in touch. Our Bethesda crew in particular is very, very tight. They have a very close friendships
That's
there.
lovely.
Yeah.
How long does it take to train somebody to make the ornamentations?
You know, probably.
You must have specialists. That
Yeah,
are-
we have.
We
So
do. Our bakers have actually been there. There's some that have been there since over,
Beginning.
Yeah,
Since the 2008.
14 years.
Yeah.
No,
No, 60.
15.
No,
Well,
Anna
60.
started in 2016. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we've had people there since the very beginning,
Yeah.
and they've stayed with us.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually a nice, fun environment to work in. I mean, you're surrounded by sugar, and
Yeah.
it smells great, and
does smell great.
it's not as stressful as except for the the
But
major holidays. But people like
Yeah,
working there.
but we do specialize. So we'll have some people who just do the frosting, who decorate. Some people who just make the batters.
But
and so
we
people
don't have a lot of people
Yeah.
who do it. I mean, it's probably the same people who have done it for the past
Yeah.
16 years that are still frosting.
Yeah.
Have you ever stopped speaking to each other?
Not for more than a couple. I mean, as sister. So one of the great things about, and probably bad things about owning a business with your sisters, that.
To be totally
Yeah.
honest with you, though, I don't think there's ever been a day where we didn't speak to each other.
Yeah.
No, you're
But
like twins to me.
But,
We really
but
haven't had a
I
day.
think our relationship allows us to have really frank discussions. And we've said this before, being sisters allows us to talk about business issues without having to worry about how do I phrase this not to hurt someone's feelings, or at work if
I'll
you're trying
just
to
go
sell,
ahead and hurt
or,
your
if you're trying to
feelings.
sell an idea or get someone on board. No, it's like I'm just going to say it as it is. And sometimes we can kind of read each other's minds, and we don't need to finish each other's sentences. And I think that helps a lot because we don't spend time trying to figure out how to say something. And if she's doing something that I don't like or I think it's bad, I will just tell her
just tell her.
straight out, and we move on. We get maybe it's not in the nicest way possible,
That's remarkable.
but I think also we can balance each other out because when you have, well, for us it's just the two of us. There's just two sisters, and the sister relationship's very special. I think you know each other better than really anyone else, and so you know your strengths and weaknesses, and so I think we can kind of balance each other out that way.
Do you like the same cupcakes?
So we have different favorite flavors. So I mean, my go-tos like chocolate hazelnut, chocolate ganache, chocolate hazelnut.
And
Yours
I'm a
is-
salty sweet person, so I like the peanut butter fudge or the salted caramel.
Do you create all the flavors still
do.
yourselves?
We do, and we try to have two or three new flavors every month, or assortments to people to choose
What are you
from.
proudest of?
Flavor?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, I
God.
have to say one of the sleeper
Lavender,
hits. Yeah.
yeah.
So for
As
when
you're
I-
looking at cupcakes.
These are
go
lava
around the
fudge
room here.
cupcakes.
Yeah,
these
these
are
are the
classic.
classic ones, yeah.
Since the very beginning, and it's actually in our logo. The little flower
the
swirl.
swirl.
That's the lava fudge.
Right, yeah.
But for my bridal shower, I used to drink lavender Earl Grey tea all the time, and so Sophie made a special cupcake that uses French lavender sugar and Earl Grey, and she made this cupcake that is so remarkable. It was only for spring. It was only like a seasonal flavor, and we had so many people email and say it would be a crime to take this off the menu. You need to put it back on every spring. So every spring we have our lavender Earl Grey cupcake, and it just tastes. It's hard to explain the taste, but people say it just tastes pretty.
But it's very interesting because when we started, we did not know people would get so passionate about their favorite flavors, or if we didn't have it in. And when you make new flavors, you have to remove some old ones to make some
Make
room on
way
the
for the
menu.
new.
And so we removed chocolate banana. And I don't know if any of you remember chocolate banana. This is from the early years of Potomac Street. And we received one email from one woman. It was probably like 3 or 4 pages long about chocolate banana. And her Twitter, her ex bio was chocolate banana is on Thursdays. And that was like her cupcake. And she's like, you don't understand. Like when I get the cupcakes, like everyone knows the chocolate banana is mine. It's gotten me through tough times in the past years. And it was all about the chocolate banana and how she was devastated and it was just so hard to read, but everyone had their favorite. And sometimes when people come in and they get really upset that we're sold out of a certain one, I didn't realize people would get so just wrapped up in their favorites.
Passionate.
Yes, they are
Very
so passionate.
Well,
Yeah.
This has been wonderful. I mean, I could talk to you for hours, and then I would just have to eat cupcakes and more. It make me want to eat cupcakes. And as I see all of you here enjoying the cupcakes, come back 15 years from now.
hopefully.
Right. Yeah, no, it'll be your children running the business.
Right.
We're pretty close. But I'm just so happy for you. I think we all are. Congratulations, and thank you.
Thank you all too.
Thank you
because
so much
honestly,
for coming.
we couldn't have done it all the Georgetown community. Yeah.
Thank you.
We want to thank everyone.
Thank you.